Good Thursday morning. It is March 27th, and you found us here on the 13 News Now Plus app. It is time for the Weather Desk. You hear my voice. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, and I operate out of 13 News Now in Norfolk, Virginia, serving Southeast Virginia and Northeast North Carolina. And today, here on the Weather Desk, we tackle every day the top weather stories and headlines from around our region, around the country, and around the world. Today, no exception. We've got a lot to talk about, some other parts of the planet, and some interesting weather. Let's get into our headlines, what we're going to be talking about. Wildfires update. We do have some progress, some good news for residents who've been dealing with the wildfire and the wildfire smoke down in North Carolina. We've got some large fires that are producing quite a bit of smoke. We'll show you those. We're also going to update you on Major League Baseball. Time to play ball. The boys of summer are back in action. Today, the opening day across the country. I've got ballpark weather. I'll show you what's happening nationally at all the hosting stadiums across the country today. So got a full slate of games, excited about that. And then my colleague Hunter Force is going to let you know how temperatures can actually impact and affect the way the game is played in terms of how the ball flies and some other things. Kind of an interesting little extra bit of weather knowledge for you there, so check that out. And then we're going to talk cherry blossoms again, extreme pollen, and the severe weather outlooks. We've got another storm system that could bring some severe weather to parts of the country as we go later this weekend and into early next week. So obviously a lot to talk about here. We're going to start off with a look at the wildfires, and we'll take a closer look at North Carolina. And we're going to begin here where 3 wildfires have been burning out of control in Polk County. Now, that's about an hour to the south of Asheville. Now, the governor's declared a state of emergency as more than 500 firefighters fight those flames, and they are starting to make some headway. They're getting some progress. The Fishhook fire is now 86% contained. That is good news. It scorched more than 200 acres. Fire officials believe that fire was sparked by a downed power line. Now, the Deep Woods fire is 11% contained. Remember, yesterday and the day before, 0%. So they've got 11% containment there. That one is burning more than 3,000 acres, and it continues to burn, so we're going to be watching that. The Black Cove fire has also scorched more than 3,000 acres and is now up to 17% contained. That one yesterday around 10%. So we are starting to see some improvements, and that is great news. A firefighter, unfortunately, was hurt in that fire and had to be airlifted to a hospital, but that firefighter is stable this morning. Now, fire officials say a downed power line is also to blame for that fire, so kind of interesting. All right, crews are on the ground working hard around the clock to contain the flames in North Carolina. Mark Liverman has a closer look at their progress.
I know that's not the potato. We didn't know if we were going to come home to losing everything we had.
Wednesday's winds fanning the flames, swiftly spreading in Leicester and the Dix Creek area. Donna Bryant was at work when she got the call.
On my way home, I'm like, is the clothes on my back going to be all that I have at the end of the day?
Rushing back home as firefighters rushed to the scene, scorched earth marking the fire line a few dozen feet away from where Bryant lives. The second wildfire to come dangerously close to their home within the span of a few weeks.
We're not prepared for this. We didn't, we thought, what are the odds this will ever happen again? And then a couple of weeks later, it's happening again.
Crews on the ground and overhead, battling the blaze in what Chief Fagnett describes as a worst-case scenario. Debris from Helene fueling the flames.
Through the days of low humidity, high winds, this fire just was explosive to us.
Well, I want to give you an idea of what we're seeing on this side of the fire. Most of this is out, but you see all the char that's left behind here, little patches of smoke that we've been seeing over the last few hours. This itself is Freedom Farm Road. Firefighters have been working using roads like this as a barrier to try to stop the fire from spreading to the other side, spreading to homes on the other side, structures on the other side as well. And this continues this way. It just gives you an example of how firefighters are using what they can that's already there to their advantage to help get this under control. Bryant now faced with a night of uncertainty.
It's like if we can go home tonight, it's like I'm going to be a little nervous to go to sleep.
But thankful for the heroes doing everything they can to keep people and their homes safe. In Buncombe County, Mark Liverman, News 13.
A lot of work going in to combat those fires. And again, these are the ones that have been creating the most issue. I want to take a look at the smoke forecast. So we'll expand the view here and show you again a lot of the smoke associated with those. Generally, the winds have been pretty light across the region today and will be for much of the day. That's why you don't see that smoke really fanning out too much in any direction, just maybe drifting a little farther north and to the northeast. We are going to see those winds picking up, though, from the southwest later tonight and into tomorrow. And with that, the smoke from these wildfires will likely blow off to the northeast and up through the Blue Ridge. So if you have maybe camping plans this weekend, you're planning on getting out into the mountains or visiting some of your friends or family, maybe out towards the western parts of Virginia, North Carolina, that's where you potentially will see some more of the smoke. You may smell it, you may see it. Even western parts of Hampton Roads, we may see a little bit more of the smoke. And with the particulates in the atmosphere, that can make for more brilliant sunsets, but you don't want to breathe it where it's in heavier concentration. And there is that potential over western parts of Virginia. So we'll continue to monitor all of this and keep you updated. And one other note here, today marks 6 months since Helene slammed the East Coast, making landfall in Florida. I say the East Coast, the eastern U.S., making landfall in Florida September 26th as a Category 4 storm. It eventually cut up through Georgia and back through the Carolinas, and Virginia also impacted. But I'll tell you, this thing really did a number out in the western part of North Carolina. Arguably, that area hit the worst with the flooding. More help is on the way. This month, Governor Josh Stein signed a $500 million relief bill. All right, we're going to take you overseas now. We want to send you back over to South Korea. Remember, yesterday we were talking about wildfires in Japan and South Korea. Well, we have an update on the South Korean situation. They've been battling deadly wildfires there for almost a week now. So far, the flames have scorched more than 88,000 acres and destroyed more than 300 buildings, injuring 30 people and forced 37,000 more to evacuate. At least 26 people have died. This is a look at the devastation to one village in central South Korea. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but as you can see, it's been reduced to rubble. Windy and dry conditions have made it hard for firefighters to stop the flames from spreading. All right, now we're going to take you over to Hawaii. And as we zip around to the other part of the globe here, you see Honolulu and you see Oahu and Maui. We have the islands. I want to direct your attention to the Big Island here and specifically to Mount Kilauea. We're going to take a look there because Kilauea is at it again. It's spewing lava. Check it out. The lava fountains have reached heights of 600 feet. To give you some perspective, the St. Louis Arch, if you've ever been through St. Louis, it's the tallest structure in St. Louis along the riverfront. That's 635 feet tall. So this spew of lava almost reaching as high as the top of the St. Louis Arch. Kilauea is one of 6 active volcanoes in Hawaii, and it's considered the most active. It's been erupting on and off since late December. This episode marks the 15th in its current eruption cycle. It's really beautiful to see. And again, some of nature's just awesome power and beauty. All right, we're going to switch gears. It is time for baseball. I'm so excited about this. You can see there's some wet weather down along the Texas coast. We've got some wet weather across northeast Missouri, parts of Illinois, back through Tennessee. Some wet weather for the northwest part of the country in Northern California, but I want to take you to the ballparks. And what I did with this map, we're going to take a look at conditions this afternoon. Again, this is the noon time, and this is based on the European model. But what I've done is I've taken each host team and placed their location on the map. So you've got the New York Yankees playing at home, the Nationals, the Reds, and the Blue Jays. I think they're all in pretty good shape. This isn't noon. Let's take you to 4 o'clock because most of the games start between 3 and 4 o'clock Eastern. So just to give you a feel for what they're going to be looking at the time of the first pitch in the ball games, you can see again, should be good around the White Sox, should be good for the Reds, Nationals, and the Yankees. Marlins also looking good down in Miami. Some wet weather on Houston. They've got a dome. They'll play indoors. Around the Texas Rangers, not too far. Well, Arlington, they're looking okay. Chances for scattered showers, so they'll be watching that. Arizona looking good as well. And later this evening, the Dodgers, the Padres, both in great shape. Some wet weather for Seattle. But again, Seattle has a dome, so they'll be okay. Royals should be all right. I am concerned for the Cardinals, and I am actually the operational forecaster. I work with the operations team every single game. I let them know what the severe weather outlook is, what the timing of the rain is coming in, and that helps the station operations department figure out what to do if there's a severe weather threat. And in fact, this area is under a level 1 threat for severe weather. St. Louis takes a look at, this opening day, and it's like a civic holiday there. Folks turn out, they sell out every year, and it's just amazing there. Downtown literally shuts down and turns into a giant party throughout St. Louis. So some rain showers there, but I am optimistic that maybe some of those showers will break up late afternoon. They'll be able to get it in. We will, of course, keep everybody updated there if you're interested in that St. Louis game. What we have for you with the Phillies and the Nationals, and I know a lot of the folks here in Hampton Roads, that's Southeast Virginia and then into North Carolina, they do follow the Nationals very closely. They're hosting the Phillies today in Washington, and here's the forecast for the first pitch. Mostly sunny, 57. That first pitch at 4:05. It's going to be a good afternoon up in D.C. for Nationals baseball, so we'll look forward to that. You can also see what's happening up in D.C., the cherry blossoms. So really, really cool. Before we get into the blossoms and pollen and everything, I told you we were going to talk a little bit about how the weather conditions can impact the flight of a baseball, how fast it travels. It's not too warm out there today. Temperatures near 57 in D.C., as I mentioned, but meteorologist Hunter Forst explains how temperatures can impact the game.
If we take a dive into the science behind cold and warm air, you'd come to find out that colder air has more molecules drifting around compared to warmer air. When the temperature rises, the air becomes less dense, meaning there are fewer air molecules traveling through the atmosphere. But when the temperature lowers, air becomes denser, therefore increasing the number of molecules in the air, just like these two cups right here. But how does this affect the game of baseball? Well, there is a primary reason for that: the impact of temperatures on the air density. Since the air is denser during cooler weather, there are more molecules the baseball collides with as it travels through the air, increasing resistance. But on the other hand, during warmer weather, the air is less dense and the baseball collides with fewer molecules and with less resistance. The ball can maintain its speed and travel further. But one more fact about baseballs and how far they can travel, well, the higher you are up in altitude, the lesser the air pressure. So if you're ever at Coors Field in Denver, Colorado, you may see a few more home runs than usual from being 5,280 feet above sea level, leading to about 15% less air resistance. For 13 News Now, I'm meteorologist Hunter Forst.
So temperatures high, the balls do fly. Just remember that. That's why a lot of the pitchers go, oh, we're getting into the hot months now. If they make a mistake, the major league hitters send them forever and a day, right? And of course, if you follow baseball closely, you know at the Mile High Stadium there in Denver, they can absolutely blast those balls. So here's what we have for you coming back to D.C. And again, the cherry blossoms, they are out and it is beautiful. We are approaching peak peak bloom. The National Park Service says it could happen, the peak bloom, either today or tomorrow. That means 70% of the blossoms are open, and it can last several days, even up to 2 weeks. More than 3,000 cherry blossom trees line the tidal basin. They were a gift from the mayor of Tokyo and first bloomed back in 1912.
What we see right now, there is a more noticeable pink hue to the trees as the petals are coming out. But somewhat surprisingly for a lot of folks, especially if it's their first trip down here, the Yoshino trees, when they are in bloom, the petals are almost pure white. So even though pink is the associated color with cherry trees and with the festival, the Yoshinos themselves are much more white than they are pink.
They are so beautiful. We've been talking about these for the last week or so, I know, but we're excited to see that peak bloom. And we've got our own cherry festivals here in Southeast Virginia, but I was just noticing as I was driving yesterday, some of the streets in Virginia Beach lined with cherry trees, and they are gorgeous. Now, the Cherry Blossom Festival in D.C. runs through April 13th. Keep in mind, parts of the tidal basin are taped off right now. The National Park Service is in the middle of a 3-year project to strengthen the seawall. More than 100 cherry blossom trees had to be removed for this, but the National Park Service says they'll plant 250 more trees around the basin next year to celebrate America's 250th anniversary. So you take a look. Maybe you're thinking about heading up to D.C. to check out the blossoms today, tomorrow, maybe Saturday. It's looking good. Temperatures are actually going to be really warm on Saturday, up into the lower to mid 80s. Sunday, there'll be a chance for showers. And I do want to mention with the cherry blossoms, anytime you get some rain or gusty winds, it starts to strip some of those beautiful flowers. So if you can, the next couple of days, really the prime time to get out and enjoy those. Again, showers on Sunday. For Charlottesville, things are looking pretty good. 82 for Saturday, 74 on Sunday. Richmond, 80 and 77. So these are some different getaway spots around the mid-Atlantic down through the Outer Banks. Looking pretty good. Partly cloudy both days, 71 Saturday and 69 on Sunday. Now, cherry blossoms aren't the only thing blooming right now. We've also been talking a lot about this, and you've probably seen the pollen building up on your cars and other surfaces where you start to see some of that yellow and green pollen collect. The allergy forecast and the pollen forecast for today, extreme. Juniper, birch, sycamore, that tree pollen is really cranked up around Hampton Roads. We want folks to know all about that. So we always keep you updated throughout the allergy season with our regular pollen accumulations and the forecast updates each and every day at 13 News Now. Again, we do look for more and more of that stuff to start collecting. I washed off, I have an RV, I went out and cleaned it off yesterday, and I was wiping pollen that wasn't there just a few days ago. So the trees are really producing the pollen, and the wind has been kicking it and stirring it up a little bit. Look for more and more deposits over the next couple of weeks. All right, take a look at what's happening nationally. We're going to talk about the severe weather threat. And again, this area that you see shaded in green and yellow here, this is actually what's out for today. You'll notice there is a threat of severe weather out across parts of northeast Kansas into northwest Missouri. That's a level 2 threat. But this area shaded in yellow, that's the outlook for Sunday. And by Monday, that's going to shift farther to the east. Again, this is the overlay for today, so you can see the threat today. But as we go out through the weekend and into Monday, that's when we're going to see our severe weather threat here in Hampton Roads. And right now, it's about a 15% chance for severe storms. But as we get a little closer, as we go really Friday into Saturday, we'll start getting that 3 and then 2 day outlook for severe weather. And that's when we'll start talking about levels and confidence in it, whether it's a level 1, level 2 threat, whatever. But I do think there's going to be a strong cold front coming through. That's going to drop our temperatures as we look forward. You can see we warm it up Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all the way up to 78 on Monday. And then that temperature crashes with that cold front coming through. With that front comes a threat for strong to potentially severe storms. We'll stay cool Tuesday and Wednesday and then jump back up as we head to the following weekend. All right, so basically today I mentioned it is cooler. Lots of sunshine, that warmer weather just around the corner. I showed you that. 61 was the high yesterday. Normally we're at 63 in Norfolk. Today we'll be close to 60 and then the warm up. Out on the water today, things have really quieted down. It's beautiful out there at the beach. We have light north winds, about 5 to 10 knots. Those winds coming around to the southeast on the Chesapeake Bay later today. We will see a lot of sunshine. Excited about what is a very, very pleasant day. Again, the wind's pretty light. We'll see those winds coming around to the south and southwest. That's going to bring up our temperatures as we go through the day tomorrow. Keep in mind, I talked to you about those fires south of Asheville. With this southwest wind, we could eventually see a little bit of smoke filling in across the Piedmont and maybe even some of the western parts of our area late in the day tomorrow. So we'll be watching for that. Into the weekend, we're still looking at this warm flow of air heading into Saturday. And by Saturday afternoon, I expect temperatures into the mid-70s officially at the airport. Downtown Norfolk may reach the upper 70s. It's going to be warm in Virginia Beach at Town Center, out around Franklin and Ahoskie, temperatures in the upper 70s as well. Here's what we have for you today. Upper 50s around Virginia Beach, 60 in Norfolk and Chesapeake, 62 in Suffolk and Franklin. To the north, low 60s for Williamsburg, upper 50s, beautiful on the peninsula. You can see temperatures in the mid-50s for the eastern shore around Matthews, Gloucester at 59. Looking down to the south, low to mid-60s, Elizabeth City to Edenton, and temperatures in the mid to upper 50s there at the Outer Banks. Here's a look at tonight's forecast. 48 the low, mainly clear to partly cloudy. We'll just see a few fair weather clouds drifting through from time to time. Really a nice night. And this morning, we had inland areas down into the upper 20s to near 30s. So we were cold this morning. It will be milder, clearly not as cold tomorrow, with temperatures more like mid to upper 40s. For tomorrow, 72, southwest winds 10 to 15, much warmer, and we'll see that mix of clouds and sunshine. I mentioned it gets warmer as we get into the weekend, mid-70s, upper 70s for some, upper 70s Monday, the chances for thunderstorms. So right now we'll say about 50%. We may bump that to 60%. I do expect showers to develop for sure, and then that potential for some stronger storms with the cold front coming through. Behind that, a few lingering showers early Tuesday, but much quieter after that. Tuesday into Wednesday, skies become partly sunny. Let me remind you, you can always stay up to date with the latest weather conditions when you download the 13 News Now app. It is a great resource for you. You can have access to our radars, to our forecast, and to breaking news around the region. So it's a great thing to have. You can find me on social media when you search Facebook at Craig Moeller, on Instagram, Craig Moeller TV, and on X, formerly Twitter, at 13 Craig Moeller. So check us out. And again, thank you guys for finding us here on the 13 News Now Plus app. We have our new feature, Impact Weather, 24/7. It's around-the-clock weather information, also available on the 13 News Now app. So a lot of great stuff for you to check out. Be sure and come back and join us again each and every weekday around 9 a.m. for the live edition of our weather from the Weather Desk. Have a great day.